The irony of the free agency situation for the Carolina Hurricanes is this. We started Friday's show with all the excitement in the world. You can go back and find it, right? It was the possibilities were endless. A Martin Necas trade seemed like it might be happening ahead of the NHL draft. That fourth overall pick from Columbus was still a magic bean that we might grow into a beanstalk. There was Jake Guentzel literally becoming a more and more likely option to stay with Carolina. There were all of these thoughts running through our head. Now at the beginning of Monday's show, so much of that, poof, gone. Blink of an eye. Magic trick. Guentzel traded for a third-round pick for like 12 hours to the Tampa Bay Lightning. He signs a long-term deal there. Martin Necas still on the Canes and more looking like a player they can't afford to trade.
Unless you get something big back.
Unless it's then we get to have you've totally redeemed yourself.
Yeah. I hope we have that moment. Good Lord.
Because I'm just going to be real. And by the way, I completely understand. If anyone that's been in the Canes world over the last 4 hours, there's two things that are happening. There's one group that is Chicken Little. The sky is falling. Pesci's gone. Shea's gone. Guentzel's gone. What's going on here? Why isn't Necas traded? Oh, no. And then there's the other half, which is looking at those people and screaming, stop overreacting. It's gonna be fine. And I understand both sides. Okay? But here's the point I'm going to make. If you're one of the stop overreacting people, I do think that there's some overreaction happening. But I also think it's rooted in some real feelings and some accurate feelings. Right? The Canes have, and they've made a living off of it. In the last half decade, they've been great at it. They make smart, reasonable decisions. Right? The not matching Jake Guentzel or not offering Jake Guentzel the world, it's a smart, reasonable decision. And there's a good chance 5 years from now, when his skill set deteriorates a little bit and he still has, 2 or 3 more years of high money from the Tampa Bay Lightning, that Canes fans can look around and go, see, that's why we didn't pay him. And you could say the same with Brett Pesce. Maybe a little less with Brady Shea, but yes, like there is a certain aspect of long-term contracts are going, they're not always the most reasonable thing in the world. A lot of times you end up regretting the back half. But sometimes you have to throw caution to the wind and go get one. Right? Sometimes you have to go all in. And that's what I think fans keep waiting for. And it felt like when you traded for Guentzel at the trade deadline, maybe that was the Canes, flipping the sails in the opposite direction and going away from conservative, safe, reasonable, smart, conservative, safe, reasonable, smart to let's go get this. Let's go win a cup. So now that it seems to be you're reverting back, there's going to be a shock there that makes you go, oh, we're back. Right? No one is accusing the Canes of being the worst run organization. No one is accusing the Canes of not making defendable decisions. It's just, as a fan, you want to put the chips in the middle of the table every once in a while. And it feels like they've taken a big step back from that. And they flirted with it enough that we thought it was real. I mean, there were some when this all happened in the last 24 hours, right? When the Guentzel trade to Tampa happens, there were a decent amount of Twitter users who immediately went to, maybe that means Stamkos is coming. Because there was a tweet, I forget who put it out there, where 6 teams were listed in the Stamkos sweepstakes, and Carolina was one of them. And my brain went, you think like you're so in the belief that they're all in, that they're going to be the team that pivots from one all in that didn't work out to another all in? That's not how the Canes work. Sometimes I wish it is.
Yeah, would have been nice.
Sometimes I wish it is. And that's where the hurt and maybe the overreaction is coming from. It's coming from the fact that sometimes you wish they would go all in. And here's why. Every year in every professional sports league, there's 5 or 6 teams that are pushing their chips in the middle. Nashville right now, right? Stamkos, Brady Shea, and the third that I'm missing out on, Marchessault. Like all in, right? They're going all in. You could argue Tampa Bay with the Jake Guentzel signing, all in. These teams are going all in. So if you're playing safe and conservative, you have to beat the teams that aren't being safe and conservative. You have to beat the teams that are pushing all of their chips in the middle and saying the problems we have on our salary cap 4 years from now are not our problems right now. We'll figure them out then. Because, like, we're going to talk about the signings that the Canes have made today. Carrier, Robinson, Jost. We're going to talk about them. And for the most part, they're like solid signings, right? There's very few of those deals that you are going to seriously regret at any point in time.
They're far from sexy, though.
But they're also
far from sexy.
Not the, like. There's a very, very low chance you're going to look back and regret it, and there's a very, very low chance you're going to look back and say, you know what was the turning point? You know when we got over the hump? You know when we finally put together a team that could win the big games in the postseason? It's when we signed Eric Robinson to that 1-year, $950,000 deal. Right? When we loaded up on Carrier as a solid back 6 winger for 6 years at $2 million apiece. These aren't the deals that win you cups. And you may say, well, there's not many deals that win you cups. No, they don't grow on trees. You can't go to the grocery store and say, in what aisle do you keep the cup-winning picks, the cup-winning signings? You have to go to like a Lamborghini dealership, right? And you have to have a credit check, and you have to go through more hoops to make it happen. But I want it to happen. And letting so many guys walk, I'm not even upset with that. It's the opportunity cost, right? It's if you're going to let Guentzel walk, if you're going to I guess he didn't let him walk. You got a 3rd-round pick for him. For all intents and purposes, if you're going to let Guentzel walk, if you're going to let Shea walk, if you're going to let Pesce walk, if you're going to have Teuvo Teravainen bounce, if you're going to move on from all of that, you better do something awesome with the money saved. Mm-hmm. Instead of, oh, good, now we can afford an extra $500,000 for Martinook. Instead of, oh, great, now we can afford an extra $500,000 for whoever, right? You're going to let Stefan Nason walk. Like, if it's at a certain point, the only things that are going to get your fan base excited are the big moves, right? That you're putting together a good roster. I had an interaction with someone on Twitter today who said, for everybody, actually, I'll just bring it on up, right? Why paraphrase when we can read the real thing? Sam on Twitter said, hey guys, the Canes will be fine. We still have Aho, Svech, Stahl, Slavin, Burns, Orlov, Chatty, KK, Freddie, and Piotr. We are going to re-sign Jarvis and most likely Drury. We will be okay. My response was, is it okay to want more than okay? If you just want to be solid, you want to make the playoffs, right? Because I look at this Canes roster, I still think it's a playoff roster. If you just want to be solid, be stoked. If you want to win a cup, got some work to do. If you want to win a cup, there's going to have to be that moment we talked about. Oh, Eric, you've totally redeemed yourself. Until we have that moment, it's going to be, I'm going to be a little underwhelmed. And I don't think that is the craziest thing in the world, right? Being a little underwhelmed.
By the way, get into our YouTube live stream right now. Get into the comments section because we posed the question out there. What are your thoughts on Carolina Hurricanes and free agency so far? Adam Ridge says Guentzel leaving was a failure. His chemistry with Aho was instant, and they would have thrived together.
Failure, tough word. I'm not sure I disagree. Like, I want to acknowledge that calling something out as a failure is, that carries some weight behind it, and I'm not sure I disagree. What I will leave the door open for is, you may have been getting played from the very beginning by Jake Guentzel and his agent. We will never know, right? Maybe when Jake Guentzel writes his tell-all book, 40 years from now, Guentzel, a life in the NHL. But
why I backed out on my deal with Carolina.
Yeah, when
that's the subtitle.
If that's the chapter that we all flip to right away.
Yeah.
Chapter 6, messing over Carolina.